Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can always find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Tuesday, November 29th. First up, we see Baylor taking on Marquette. This one, 8:30 Eastern start time on Fox Sports 1. It is a true home game for Marquette. In this one, Baylor 5-1 to start the season. They are 6th ranked in AP polls, 8th ranked in KenPom, one of the better offenses in the country right now, ranked 2nd in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency. A very good shooting team. We've seen that from in the last few years for Baylor, one of the better perimeter shooting teams in the country. They're 6th ranked in 2-point field goal percentage as well. And I think this is a really good matchup for them against a Marquette team that we've seen struggle in recent years and even this year a little bit with the defensive rebounding. Baylor ranked 19th in the country in second chance opportunities, offensive rebounding percentage. And if you're a good shooting team that can get those second chance looks, you're going to score almost every time down the court, it seems, and Baylor takes care of the basketball. They're able to force those turnovers on the defensive end. Not the strongest defensive team, but still ranked 43rd in adjusted defensive efficiency. You know, Marquette had a nice start to the season. They played tough against Purdue on the road. They played pretty well against Mississippi State in a neutral site, but overall, I don't think this team has been tested too much, and anytime we've seen them step it up in competition against teams like Purdue and Mississippi State, they've struggled. Their 5 wins this season against teams ranked outside the top 100 in KenPom. This is another tough matchup here, even at home. It's going to be a packed gym. It's going to be a very good home court advantage for Marquette, but I don't think it's enough in this one. Give me Baylor laying the points. Next up, we see a game in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. It's going to be between Virginia and Michigan. This one at 9:30 Eastern. It's on ESPN. Virginia 5-0 to start the season. They're ranked 3rd in the AP polls, 5th in KenPom, and this is a team that's known for their defense, usually with Tony Bennett as coach, one of the better defensive teams in the last decade or so. But this season, although their defense is strong, ranked 15th in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, they're number 5 on the offensive side of things. They take care of the basketball. A very good shooting team, ranked 4th in the country right now in 3-point shooting percentage. Now, I've mentioned a couple videos back that in order to beat teams like Virginia and Syracuse, teams that rely on that zone defense, legendary zone defenses from their legendary head coaches, you got to be able to get those second chance opportunities, those offensive rebounds, and you have to be able to shoot the 3-point shot. Michigan right now ranked 293rd in the country in offensive rebounding percentage and 230th in 3-point percentage. That's just not going to cut it. We know this has not been the greatest starts of the season for Michigan. They had that loss against Arizona State at the neutral site. Really no big wins. They're really their most impressive win, probably a game against Pittsburgh. And we know Pittsburgh not really the strongest team this season. So Michigan hasn't really been tested too much. And I think Virginia is too much for them in this spot. So give me Virginia laying the points. In our next game, we see Missouri taking on Wichita State. This one at 8 o'clock Eastern start time on ESPN+. Now, Missouri's off to a great start this year, 7-0 to start the season. They're ranked 16th in adjusted offensive efficiency. This is a very up-tempo style of offense. They're 11th in average possession length, so very, very quick team. It's shooting very well, 4th ranked in effective field goal percentage. But I look at the schedule that Missouri's played this season, and really no big wins on the resume thus far. Southern Indiana, Penn, Lindenwood, SIUE, Mississippi Valley State, Coastal Carolina, Houston Christian. Those are your 7 wins. None of those games against a team in the top 150 in KenPom, let alone the top 100 like Wichita State is. And this is also the first road game of the season for Missouri. All 7 of their games at home against weaker opponents. Now you're taking on a pretty tough defense in Wichita State that's ranked 61st in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, 12th ranked in effective field goal percentage defense. Wichita State's offense, not the most explosive, so I do think Missouri has the advantage there. But Wichita State takes care of the basketball. They played a team like Tarleton State, who's so good at forcing turnovers, and they were able to win that game, Wichita State, by 12 points, covering the number in the end and only turning the ball over 12 times. That's a big win against a team like Tarleton. That's top 20, I believe, in the country at forcing turnovers. Wichita State also good at getting those second chance opportunities. So yes, this is not the best shooting team, but they can get those offensive rebounds and give themselves a chance that way. I think Wichita State is the better team, and I think they played a much tougher schedule. I like Wichita State in this one. I'm going to take them on the money line. In our next game, we see Wake Forest taking on Wisconsin. This one at 9 o'clock Eastern start time, also part of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Now, Wake Forest has also had a pretty weak schedule to start the year. Their biggest win, you could say their victory over Georgia earlier in the season at home. But really, other than that, they have wins over Fairfield, Utah Valley in overtime, LaSalle, South Carolina State, Hampton. Nothing really too impressive there, while Wisconsin's played a pretty tough strength of schedule. They played Stanford earlier in the season. They played Dayton and beat them. They played Kansas and only lost by 1 point at a neutral site in overtime, and then they beat USC. So Wisconsin's well more battle-tested, but I still think that this Wake Forest team is pretty underrated right now, and I like the roster on paper. I like what I'm seeing from them. A lot of guys that are starting to get going from the perimeter, which is important for this Demon Deacons team, in my opinion. You look at their last game against Hampton, and Hampton, I think, has really improved this season themselves, but Wake Forest went 15 of 30 from 50% in that one, 57% in their 2-point field goals. Tyree Appleby, the transfer from Florida, really playing well for Wake Forest. He's going to probably be up in the ACC standings for assists per game leaders and points per game leaders, and he's really making a difference for this Wake Forest team. It's a pretty good front court as well, and a really deep Wake Forest team as well. You look at Wisconsin, this is a team that's going to play a fantastic defense. They're 12th ranked in adjusted defensive efficiency, but the offensive side, not a very good shooting team. They don't really get a lot of offensive rebounds, so in a game that sets up to be pretty low scoring, I think it's going to be a competitive game as well. I just think those points are valuable in a game like this, a game that could go down to the wire. We've seen Wisconsin play so many close games. That game against Dayton, 43-42 final. Like I mentioned, the overtime loss by only 1 point against Kansas. Even the USC game was close, and even their game against Green Bay, Wisconsin, who, Green Bay's ranked 358th in KenPom. Wisconsin only beat them by 11 points. So this is a Wisconsin team that wins games, but doesn't really blow teams out, and I think we're getting some value here with the underdog. So give me the points with the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And the final game we're going to talk about for Tuesday's card, it's between Old Dominion and Charleston. This one is 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Now, Old Dominion, I think, is a live dog in this game, and when I'm looking for underdogs in non-conference play, I'm looking for teams that can rebound the basketball, and Old Dominion does that on both the offensive and defensive side. They're 31st in the country in offensive rebounding, 16th in defensive, and I'm also looking for teams that take care of the basketball on offense, don't turn the ball over, and Old Dominion is ranked 39th in turnover percentage on offense. So yes, this is not the greatest shooting team in the league. They're in the Sun Belt. They're ranked 162nd in adjusted offensive efficiency. 3-point percentage is in the top 200, which is not too bad for a Sun Belt team. But I would say the Old Dominion is a more defense-first type of team, and I think that they actually match up pretty well with Charleston, who is pretty volatile. This is a 76th ranked offense in adjusted offensive efficiency, but the defense kind of lacking right now. They're ranked 322nd in the nation in 2-point defense, and I think that could hurt them in this spot. Also, not the greatest defensive rebounding team Charleston is, so like I mentioned, Old Dominion, pretty good offensive rebounding team. Even if they're not making shots at a great rate, if they're getting those second chance looks, their offense is going to be helped out in a big way. Old Dominion's played a pretty tough non-conference schedule. They played Virginia Tech, they played Furman, Davidson, East Carolina, and they actually beat Furman in East Carolina, played Virginia Tech pretty close, only a 4-point loss in the end. Davidson was only a 5-point loss, so Old Dominion's been competitive, and most of those games were at neutral sites, so they played away from home before. They've had success. They're coming off a big-time win over East Carolina by 21 points. Charleston's off to a great start. They played a tough schedule, but I think Old Dominion's a live dog, so give me the points here with the Monarchs. And that's it. Those are the games we're going to talk about for Tuesday's card in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to put your college basketball plays in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.